Welcome to School Matters. I'm Shawn Gilliland. On this week's show, we'll meet some makers at Carver Elementary, get to know some Henrico High School alumni a little better thanks to a creative English class project, and hear from a National Park Ranger. First up, let's join some Godwin Eagles in the Todd Phillips Center for Medical Sciences as they learn the ins and outs of the ER through the latest technology.
How do you tell you his name? Did you have any trouble telling his name?
We were doing simulations for what to do when we get a patient in the emergency room.
What is the weirdest case?
There was a list of patients and you just picked one of them, and then they would come in, they would you could ask them questions using dialogue boxes, kind of like a video game.
Was she breathing like Snake?
No.
No? Normal?
It was actually really interesting because it allowed us to learn the different types of medication, the different diagnosis.
A cardiology consult should be actually what happens.
We were able to test and see what would happen and face many of those situations and cases, which was very exciting.
We are aiming for 100, more than 100.
So one patient was sweating and had one of their eyes wasn't dilating when light was shining in them.
You cannot take medication back, okay? So let's try a little bit. Go ahead, just give him a little bit and see how much did it change.
So from that we figured out that there was a head trauma with them, and to treat that we gave them some more oxygen and then we gave them some medication.
Her blood glucose level is really high.
Well, it didn't affect anything. Did you put it in? Collaborating with our classmates was the best part because we were able to combine our different views and then work together to find the proper medication or find the proper diagnosis for the person and treat them.
Do blood pressure, heart rate, respiratory rate.
It really helps with your problem solving too, because you have to really analyze what is going on with the patient.
That means that her mitral valve has bacteria.
It got intense.
It was kind of stressful at times.
It was really stressful.
What do you need again? Periocardiocentinosis.
Yeah.
When you hear the monitor and you hear the sounds,
I feel tired doing my daily activities.
it really puts you in a situation that makes you think that what if this happened in real life, what would you do?
I would say go to antibiotics. And I did. Got it.
It was interesting to find out how it was in the emergency room, what people had to go through and stuff, and the doctors, how they would treat people.
Then you go back and start asking questions. As you get your labs, you can start looking for all the red ones, because the red ones are bad.
It actually kind of made me more interested in emergency medicine, so I can actually since I actually saw what was going to happen, and it made it interesting and fun.
Learning the difficulties and the challenges, but how satisfying it is that once you actually manage to do something, it's really turned my views. So I kind of want to work on the ER now.
That did seem rather intense. Special thanks to those medical professionals that came and worked with the students. Now, from learning how to think fast in the emergency room to thinking fast on your feet on the dance floor, it's dancing classrooms at Short Pump Elementary.
Dancing Classrooms is a social development program. It's designed for 5th and 8th graders. It's a franchise program that came from New York City 25 years ago. Our mission is to cultivate essential life skills in children through the practice of ballroom dance. And we're not trying to make them professional dancers or go to Dancing with the Stars. They get way more benefits of this program than dance steps.
I think it's just something different. Usually when they come to school, anything that's outside of the math, science, social studies, reading, they get, of course, great resources like PE, art, music, and they have those occasional research projects in the library. But this is something completely different.
All right, let's continue now. On their first lesson, they had a little reservations and they wasn't exactly excited about it. But as we progress, it's amazing how the attitude changed, how the relationships were built. And today, of course, at the culminating event, which is our last lesson, you'll see what came out of this program. Dance frames, please. Please begin, and green light.
would say the swing, because I like to move around a lot, and like the merengue and stuff, you like go slowly, but the swing you have to jump around and hop and do interesting things.
It has been great. We have learned very many different dances, and it's really fun, even though dancing with boys may not be the best, but you get used to it, and it's really, really fun. It teaches you cooperation and communication.
I hope that they can remember that, once again, they don't have to be best friends to work with someone, to be kind and polite and respectful, even with their bodies and their eyes. They don't have to say a word, but they can be respectful to anyone, really.
I think the number one thing is respect, to just really treat each other with respect and understanding cultural differences. Also, teamwork is a huge factor. And of course, self-esteem, confidence.
I really know a new thing, and I can teach others as well.
Wow, those students really did learn how to cut a rug. Thank you, Dancing Classrooms. A different kind of community partner was working with the Masonry class from the ACE Center at Highland Springs on the 18th CTE House.
Our association, the Virginia Masonry Association, has been working closely with the local trade schools to try to assist our contractor members in getting good hirees, trained masons. There's a major shortage of masons, and so we're trying to fill some spots in our apprenticeship training program, and these kids are the perfect resource for us.
We have a few of our own masons here today, and we'll have them scattered in with the students and try to help them if they have questions, try to show them some tips, show them how to speed things up, you know, some of the things that they don't necessarily have a lot of time with during the week.
Take your trowel, boom, bang. Now grab that thing like you mean it.
All the trades are short on people, and I think these kids are starting to realize that, you know, going in debt with a four-year college education is not always the best idea. There's a lot of opportunities out here, and this is just one of the ways we're trying to show them what they can do.
It's just been a great opportunity for the kids to learn from our contractors and for our contractors to get to know them and build relationships.
It's days like this and getting a full day's work in where they can really decide if this is what they want to do.
Masonry is a tough job. You know, you get these students out here and they get a real feel for that. This kind of just gives them a reality check into what the trade is all about while giving them real hands-on experience. I mean, this is not a trade that you can learn from a book. It's all about getting your hands dirty.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
In a twist on the usual school athlete signing day, Rolfe Middle School 8th graders had a signing day of their own, announcing which high school specialty center they'd be attending for the next school year. Congratulations to them all. Now let's visit the gallery at Henrico High School for a special art showcase where a freshman English class looked to the past to prepare themselves for the future.
So right now we have the We Are Warriors gallery opening. We've been working for the last entire quarter on creating oral histories, portraits, and narratives of alum of Henrico High School. We reached out to the alum, but since then the children have done everything. They created interview questions, they practiced interviewing on one another. When they were finally allowed to actually meet the alum, they learned very useful soft skills, eye contact, handshakes, those kinds of things. They interviewed the alum, the oldest of which graduated in the 1960s, so they sort of got this large swath of what Henrico used to be and versus what it is now.
Interviewed an art teacher. Her name was Miss Cindy. She told us about how Henrico has changed over the years, like from the clubs to the group, just like a lot about like the evolution of Henrico. And she gave us tips on how to be like more social and how to make like high school life better.
This is Miss Dawn. She works with children who have a hard time expressing how they feel emotionally. This is like one of my favorite people to talk to, because she really helps you open up and she really cares about how you feel. Sharon Kelly, she was a gymnast and I actually used to want to do gymnastics when I was little. She's in the Hall of Fame. And Tawana Lowry, she was an assistant principal at my elementary school, so I knew her already. And now she's a principal at Jacob L. Adams, so they both doing big things. I feel like this project has helped me learn skills that I'm gonna need when I go on to college and probably even further on in life.
I think I got better at my communication skills, look at people in the eye, because when I talk, I like to stare off to the side, but now I like making eye contact is better for communication.
Well, just to learn about how it was back then and how you can make things change or how things have already changed, and just to get to know things before they used to be the way you see them.
I hope that they feel confident going into any interview that they ever go into now. So that's no longer a fearful place for them. Instead, that's a comfortable place that they've been in themselves. And I also hope that they begin to ask questions of the older people in their lives just generally. Because of this project, I started recording my own grandmother as she talks, and she's 98. So we won't have those stories forever. And just to hear her sort of ethos in life and record it has even affected me. So I hope it affects them further.
What a fun way to gain a fresh perspective on the high school experience and to honor Henrico Warriors from years past. Over at Laburnum Elementary, third graders were working to gain a new perspective and brighten their days with the help of community partners, thanks to an idea from the school counselor and family advocate.
Do you like to be yelled at?
No!
Do you like someone grabbing you?
No!
All right. Why don't you like these things?
When I was young, we had a term called sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me. If somebody says something negative about your work, you just ignore them, because guess whose work it is? It's your work.
Well, I wanted to come up with a way to connect the boys with the community. Have somebody come in from the outside and speak to the boys about some leadership skills and some self-esteem.
So what we did was we looked at a series of data sets to find out and to identify the students that would be most beneficial to this program. So we considered those reading scores, math scores. We also considered behavior data to sort of see what would be the best intervention for these students.
Every day I will try my best. I will not quit. I will not rest until my brain has and I have learned how to do it. If I fail, I will be okay. I will just find another way.
We hope to gain them some leadership skills, and they can take them to the next grade, and even go into middle school and the high school and take them throughout life.
One thing we definitely want to emphasize is the power of yet. We want to definitely incorporate a growth mindset and getting our kids to recognize that the way you think is the way you are. So if we change the mindset, then we know we can change their actions and their productivity here at school.
No.
Now for another 2-minute history report.
We all know about colleges. There's the state schools, the academic elite, and of course the sports powerhouse. But there's a college that you've heard of that is truly one of a kind, the Electoral College. First of all, it's not really a college. It's a process that we use to determine the President of the United States. Back when our founding fathers were figuring out the rules for this new country, they wanted to make sure that all parts of the country have fair input. So they put into the Constitution that each state would have a group of electors, whose vote would determine the commander-in-chief. The number of electors was based on the number of senators and representatives from each state. For example, Wyoming has 2 senators and 1 representative, so they have 3 electors, or electoral votes. California, on the other hand, has 55 electoral votes. The number of state representatives is proportional to state population and is reevaluated every 10 years when new census information is available. Since we have 100 senators, 2 from each state, 435 representatives or congressmen, we end up with 538 electors. Oops, forgot to mention that the District of Columbia gets 3. Half of 538 is 269, so to get the majority of the Electoral College, a candidate needs 270 to become president. In most of the country, if you win the popular vote of the state, you get all of their electoral votes. They call it winner take all. The exception is Nebraska and Maine. They use the congressional district method. If you win a region of the state, you get that region's vote. Back in 2008, John McCain got 4 of Nebraska's electoral votes, while Barack Obama got 1. In 2016, Maine gave 3 votes to Hillary Clinton and 1 to Donald Trump.
That sounds fake.
Generally, our presidents have won both the Electoral College and the popular vote, but not always. In 1876, Samuel Tilden got 200,000 more votes than Rutherford B. Hayes. A decade later, Grover Cleveland lost his re-election in spite of the fact he had more popular votes. In recent history, Al Gore and Hillary Clinton won the ballot box, but the Electoral College put someone else in the Oval Office. So here it is in a nutshell. The Founding Fathers gave each state a voice on who would be our country's choice. Not equal representation, but votes based on population. The results left some candidates quite dismayed because for this college, 270 is the important grade.
That's the Electoral College in 2 minutes.
When I carve a piece of wood, it takes little chips out of it, and you can pass this around and feel the textures and things.
Because I started these when I was around y'all's age, and it's really cool to have when you're older to look back and be like, wow, look at this life I'm living, right? I need to be
There are other fibers that will felt. Alpaca, llama, so any protein fiber will felt.
Makers from all over the Richmond area were at Carver Elementary School to share their crafts with the Cougars.
That was really cool. Oh wow, that's heavy to break. Yeah, it's just something sitting in here.
Yep, sometimes there's little scraps that I just saved that are loose. Old notes.
What is it?
It took me 2 weeks to sew it. So yeah, okay, thanks for modeling. Alright, so then this one took a really long time because I had to lay it out properly. See how it like reads right into the sleeve.
Creations showcasing craftsmanship and creativity in a wide variety of pursuits were on display for the students to behold. Robotics.
So it goes from 12 volts down to 5 volts, and that happens in here.
Needle felting, leatherworks, and costume design.
Okay, so this is the tape that goes with it.
Do you guys want to guess how long it took to make that mask?
At least like 2 weeks.
At least a week?
That's about a week.
All right. Oh.
Okay, like the felt sheets that you guys probably use in art class.
This is all carved out of styrofoam. This is for a play that was done in West Virginia.
It's not a fish. Oh, I know it's not an alligator. Wait, what is it? It's just Alice. This is Wendy. Allie, can I see? There you are.
They're very smooth feeling.
The makers got to share what their passions are and give the students insight into what they do and how they got into their particular trade. Continuing on with the artistic theme, let's check out the annual Henrico Arts Festival.
So we had our 2019 Arts Festival last weekend at Verona High School. This was our 6th annual festival, and of course ARTS stands for Artists, Residents, Teachers, and Students. We're rotating to a different high school every year to celebrate all of our schools and the amazing things they're doing during the entire school year, but also the month of March. Every school had a display up. Teachers get to make the choices on the works they get to have up for display. It's a great representation of their program. We want this to be a free interactive event for kids and families. We want this to be a special weekend for them, a chance for them to not only see art, but also to have the experience of making art and getting their hands dirty a little bit. There's a little bit of everything, which is really kind of fantastic. It's wonderful to see the families coming there to support their children and to support our schools. And it's wonderful to see when the children run up to the displays and point their artwork out to their families and take the pictures. And that's definitely some of the most meaningful things we get to see.
What a wonderful way to really show off the incredible artistic abilities of students and staff from around the county. The festival gets bigger and better every year. We'll close the show back at Carver Elementary with a visit from a National Park Ranger. For School Matters, I'm Sean Gilliland. Thanks for watching.
I am Ranger Steph. I work at a really cool place. My office is at Tredegar. I don't know if you guys can see that cool building. It's really old. That building was back during the Civil War. It was part of a place called Tredegar Iron Works, one of the largest ironworks for the Confederacy during the Civil War. So this is me at Prince William Forest Park. I'm saving an eastern box turtle from getting squashed right there. So my job does involve some animals from time to time. And my job also is a little bit of trail crew. Can you guys see that right there? Yeah. So I do run a chainsaw on occasion when there's bad trees down, like a bad storm and trees fall down on the trails. I have to go out and hike with a chainsaw and keep care of all our trails and maintenance for those trails. And we also keep care of the buildings too. So sometimes I have to clean the bathrooms. Not a fun job, but guess what? Somebody's got to do it, and I always like to say it's job security, okay? Because if I can clean a bathroom, then they're not going to get rid of me. All right? So there I am. That is me on the trail. I probably hiked in about 4 miles before cutting, so I had to haul a chainsaw on my back for that long. But I work at some pretty cool battlefields, and all of the battlefields that I'm going to show you today are part of Richmond National Battlefield Park, all part of the American Civil War. So this is the Battle of Gaines Mill. Gaines Mill was a battle in 1862, and it was Robert E. Lee's first victory as commander of the Confederate Army. This building right here is called the Crenshaw Woolen Flour Mill. The Crenshaw Woolen Mill actually made blankets and uniforms for Confederate soldiers in this very building. So they were making things like this. I need a volunteer. Oh, awesome, awesome. Yes, ma'am, come on up. I want you to check this out. To put this on. Awesome, awesome. Let me pop your hood there. There you go. How's that feel? It's warm, right? Is it heavy? Yes. Yeah, it's very heavy, isn't it? I need another volunteer. Oh my goodness, yes. Come on up, sir. Come on up. And if I choose somebody that I shouldn't, just give me a holler, all right? All right, come on up. Put this on. Awesome, put that on. Great. Now, how does yours feel? Yeah, fairly light, right? Hers actually has a lining. If you open it up, it actually has a lining on the inside. It's a little heavier. Yours does not have a lining, so do you think it's going to do pretty well in the winter? No, but her uniform definitely is. These are the boots that they would wear. So these boots, they have no traction on the bottom. So if you guys looked at the bottom of your shoes, we all have traction on the bottom of our shoes today. That's to prevent slips, trips, and falls. Okay, so here we are, we have these shoes, no traction on them. We have nails holding the bottom of the heels on. Some of you guys can see these little round nails in there. Yeah, so we have nails holding those on. How many of you guys have nails in your shoes right now? No one of you. Yeah, there's this stuff called glue. Yeah, most of our shoes are glued together. And then we have the inside, no padding. Hard as a rock on the inside. There's no padding. No padding. Soldiers are going to be marching in these boots for 10 to 15 miles a day. Marching 10 to 15 miles a day in these shoes. Now remember, you have these awesome socks on as well. And you only probably have 1 or 2 pairs of socks with you. Yeah, there's not a washing machine or anything nearby, so you're probably going to be having some stinky feet. But these shoes, oh, I forgot to mention the coolest part about these shoes. You don't have to worry about what foot you put it on because there's no such thing as a right or left foot. No right or left foot. That's why it has a square toe on the end. So it could go on either foot. This is called hardtack, obviously. It's hard as a rock. Yes, this is how they were given it. This is their way that they preserve their food. This is just flour and water and salt cooked at a very low temperature for a very long time. It basically is like a cracker or a piece of bread. Now soldiers, they're going to have to try to eat this. So of course, one of the nicknames they're going to give this food is Tooth Dollar or Tooth Buster, because if you tried to bite into it, you're going to bust a tooth off. Oh, the canteen, the water. Water killed the most people during the Civil War, more than any bullet or any musket or any cannon killed. Why? It's because we need water every day in order to survive.